Good morning, everyone. Oh, let me get my camera down just a little bit. It's a little messy. Having a little bit of my banana really quick. Good morning to everyone. Hopefully, you're doing well. Sorry I've been gone, but just been living life and doing a lot of art. Let me do my casual sip this morning. Get my throat all going for all of you. Let me say my hellos. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for being here. Pat, how are you doing? Kitty Smith, thank you for the 12 months of a light touch membership. You are adored, and I love you so much. Thank you. Hopefully, you're doing well. Uh, Chinese characters of symbols I don't know. Hello, how are you doing there? Hopefully, let me know your name. I'll try to my best to remember it. Hi, Lou. How you doing there, buddy? Getting ready for TwitchCon? I am myself. Chris, Mark, Pablo, how are you guys all doing there? I had my morning coffee already, and I decided I wouldn't do 2 cups because I'm going to get breakfast after this at some point. So I decided to mix it up and get myself a little bit of green tea and then nibbling on a banana at the moment, just to get myself. Oh, Korea. Okay, my mistake. To give myself a little bit of energy so that way we can go through some art and tear it down. And 2 of you were kind enough to send me messages this morning of some of your art. Haven't had a chance to move it over just yet, but has anyone been working on anything interesting? As I nibble my banana. Hyler, those cookies that you posted look delicious, man. Were they just normal sugar cookies, or were they like a mix of something special that you made? I'm actually not that tired, Pablo. You know what I'm gonna do though is I forgot to maximize my window so that way I can easily see your chat messages. So there we go. That's way easier. I'm actually doing pretty well. I'm doing pretty well. Can't complain. It's actually cold-ish outside here in Southern California, which is a nice turn because it's been super, super warm. As you can see, I'm wearing a sweatshirt. Hair's a mess, so I'm wearing a hat because I don't feel like getting super ready. I don't have to impress too many people. And then after this, I'm just going to probably paint today and then relax. So it's going to be a really good day. I'm actually really excited. Hey, how you doing there, Aces? How's everything going on with you this morning? Pablo, you feeling great? Actually, I'm going to my friend's birthday party today. Oh, that's cool. What's the number? Anything big? Anything fun? Anything cool? Your temperature is probably in Celsius, but what is it? I can probably convert it over here since I've got this cool machine here called Google that'll allow me to decipher the conversion rate from Celsius to Fahrenheit, which is what my temperatures are in. Alrighty, if anybody wants to do any bit of art that we're going to do for a review today, it's real fun, real easy. The best way is to send it to me on Instagram or Twitter. If you can't have trouble with that, we can always do email, but I like to coerce you into getting maybe a free follow on each one of those platforms. And then we'll take that art. If you can be here while we review the art, it's a lot better because I like to ask you questions. You like to let me know, or you get to let me know what you're struggling with. The community also likes it because you can let me know how long you've been painting, what type of medium you've been using, and the previous questions I asked, like what do you struggle with? So people get kind of a feel of where they're at in their journey, and you can compare and contrast. We can all give advice, and then we get to see where you get to go from there. It's actually super fun. It's actually one of my favorite things that I get to do on this channel because I have so much experience making mistakes that I feel like I give some really good insight. I can't really teach you how to be a great painter or become a master painter, but I can really teach you how to make less mistakes going forward since I've made them all twice or thrice. That's where my expertise comes in, and I'm always happy to lend it. You're going bowling? Dude, no joke. I might actually be going bowling tonight too. Tally came into town. Only, well, you guys probably know Tally from some of the videos that we did. He actually just woke up a little bit ago because he's staying with me, helping me with the art. And he loves bowling. I like bowling, so we'll probably do some bowling tonight. Go out and meet some peeps. I might not have them if you want to resend them because I get a lot of messages on Instagram and Twitter that push things down, and I kind of get lost in the shuffle for a lot. But let me open up my phone here really quick since we've got everybody here. Just living the dream. That's what I love to hear, man. Keep it going. Keep it going. All right, let's open up the phone here. I got one from Smiley. She sent me one. Or you know what I should be doing? I don't know why I'm doing on this phone. Let's open it up on my computer here. And let me open up a folder so that way I can grab your guys' art. Let's see here. Let's go to my folder creation. Let's see. Where's my YouTube review folder? Not finding it there. There it is. We had a lot of good ones from last time, dude. It was insane. I wanted to post them out, and I kind of forgot. All right. So now that we got that open, let's open up the Instagram. If anybody sent me on any platform, let me know in case I forget to grab from the right one for you. But let me get this. All right, we got one from Smiley. Can you allow me to make you bigger? No? Oh, this is a dope one that somebody did. One Pat did was awesome, this Pokemon one. We'll grab that just to show. I won't be able to review that because that's just a fun one. And then we got this landscape lake one. There we go. Let's grab that. For some reason, Smiley's isn't grabbing. I have to resend that to myself. Chris, you sent me a couple? What did you send them through? Instagram, Twitter? Because if it's, for some reason, when people send images through Instagram, if they send it via Facebook message, I can't get them from the desktop, which is kind of a real big ass pain. I don't know why it does that. Let's see what's under hidden requests here. Oh, yep, I got one from Chris, so here, I'll accept it on this side. Oh, those are very pretty. I'm excited to look at these. Okay, now let's see if that fixes it on the Computer Dora side. There we go. Do I have to approve these or something? Oh. Chris, I only got probably time to do one, maybe two. We'll see. Out of the two that you sent me one with the mountain ridge and the one that's the blue and red sky, like movement sky. Out of the two, which one would you like me to review to give you some help on? And then that way we can figure it out from there. Whichever one I want. All right. Well, I like being in charge. Let's see. Let me blow these up on my phone here really quick. Let's see which one I can give you more beneficial advice on. Let's do the mountain one, because everybody loves mountains. And let me save that here. Oh, geez. Hold on. I just got like a few messages popping in from people. Let's see. Save. Photo saved. All right, there we go. Just email this to myself really quickly. Thank you guys for bearing with me. Having fun with all of you always. All right, there we go. Pick. Send. Done. And then Jin, I just got yours, buddy. Ooh, I really, really like the circular one. That is pretty. That's dope, dude. I'm going to pick that one instead of the Northern Lights. Let's grab that. Okay, so I should title these. This is dumb of me because I'm going to forget. So Jin, and then Chris's are coming in. These two are Pat. That way I got it. And then I think Danny just sent me one while I was looking at it. Oh, wait, I guess I can't have two files named Pat Dur. Pat 1. There we go. And let's see, I got another request in here. Okay, so we got that. Looking good. And then we got one from Danny. Danny, you sent it to me as like a timed photo. Oh, you know what I could probably do? I could probably screen grab it. I'll just do that. Make it easy on me. Oh, maybe just send it as a normal one too now. Oh, you got that one. Okay, we'll do that one because that one I can grab. There we go, save. And then I can send that one to me. Email that to myself. And then that'll be good to rock and roll, and we can roll right into it because I got plans today, things to do, peeps to meet. Because I'm excited. I haven't talked to you guys in so long. I feel like I've been missing a lot of things. I've been wanting to do a lot of art. I haven't done any videos this week, so this is the content that you guys get for the week. So I appreciate you guys all tuning in. Hopefully having fun. We'll jam out here in just 1 second. Let me grab these 2 images, and I'll be ready to rock and roll. But feel free to chit chat with me. All right. You got this one. And then let me get the next one. Dope. That one was Danny. And then this one was sent from... Oh, Denny, I mean. Sorry, not Danny. My mistake. Change the name on there so that way I have it right. And then Jin. I got Jin. Chris. Okay, cool. Boom. Alrighty, let's do it. Now I'm excited. All right, let me load up my Photoshop here so that way we can pull up everything and get you guys rocking and rolling. I'm first going to start with Pat. Or I guess I should start, yeah, we'll start with Pat. Let me pull up his Pikachu one here because I love it. Whoops, I didn't mean to drop that on top. Let's get rid of this. Oh, no, trash it. There we go. Get rid of that and then open this again in a new window to take in. All right, so if you guys have never been here for a channel art review thing that we like to do, essentially what we do, we try to give you, we critique the art, obviously, but in a positive light. I'll tear it down in some fashions, but trust me, it's only to build you back up because I want to build the utmost confidence in you, but I'm old. I don't have time to beat around the bush, so I like to get straight to the point. Plus, I think it's going to be more beneficial. I'm not here to inflate egos. Try to get right to the point to help you be a better artist. But it's an open forum. If you guys see things that you like or things that you don't, let the person know. So we're going to be looking at Pat, who is in the chat at the moment, and we're going to look to see how we can help them become a better artist, or maybe they overlooked some things, and, you know, give them a little bit more insight so that way when they progress with the next piece of artwork, they can apply what they learned here to that, and then hopefully become a big and better painter. Take a bite of my banana really quick. But the first art piece I'm going to show you from them is a fun Pokemon art piece. I'm assuming that they did an acrylic. Pat, correct me if I'm wrong, but it looks like acrylic, which is a minimalistic painting of all main elements of Pokemon. So you got Charmander for fire. Then we've got, there we go. Charmander for fire. We got Pikachu for electricity. Bulbasaur for, I guess, earth or plant-based. And then Squirtle for water. And this is a cool little action art piece right here. I think it's a cool little idea. This would do something like really well on Etsy. Grass. Okay, grass works. I mean, it's a plant, but all right. I was trying to think more like earth, wind, and fire and all like the element style, but my brain was going through a big brain fart there at the moment. But this is really cool, dude. I love the minimalistic color coats going up and down all the way through. The color choices are really good, really bold, and really vivid. Because even though they're all complementary, they're contrasty to some degree, which is nice. That makes them stand out. Now, I'm not very good at drawing figure shapes, elements of like animals. We'll classify these at. But I think you could bolden up your lines here because you can see some of the lines are very, very faded that you did with your acrylic. So I think you could go over it again and create some sharper, bolder lines so that way it will truly stand out. You know, it'll look great, you know? But I think this is a really fun piece that if you give it away to someone, they would truly cherish it. It also looks like it was done on a canvas board, which is a nice cost-effective way of doing a piece like this. The only thing you got to be careful about is if it's a canvas board, depending on how thick your coating of paint is on there, canvas board has a tendency to curl when drying. So sometimes you have to be careful of how you make it dry so that way it doesn't curl too fast, too quickly. Oh, it's actually on stretch canvas? Oh, cool. It was hard to tell because it looks thin around the border edge, but dope. Never mind what I was going to say. I like it. It's super, super awesome and super cute. Anybody would be proud to have this. And I like it. So thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing. Now on to your magnum opus, as we will. Here's your art piece. So let's get my ugly mug out of the way. Let's zoom in on this bad boy here. Actually, let's duplicate the layer so that way we can draw on it. Let's pull this in. So you got a beautiful sky gradient going from blue into a nice little soft but vivid pink as we work down to a horizon. You got some low-hanging clouds, a sun, actually within the sunset here. And you got your horizon filled with background tree layers / swamp, water, Everglade kind of style of a landmass back there. And then we worked ourselves into, I'm assuming, what is probably a lake or could pass for like a Florida wetland, working into the reflections here with the sun and your water. And then we've got a nice little landmass, nice little landmass that sparks some very strong trees coming up here that are silhouetted because the light source is behind them. So this is looking pretty cool, but let's see how we can help you make this a little bit better. Now, I'm gonna leave my camera off for just a second. I'm gonna make 2 colors here because I think you guys actually appreciate it when I illustrate my points with 2 colors to know what I'm talking about, even though I mumble a lot. And then let me finish by swallowing my banana and help you out here. All right, there's my beautiful self. Yeah, Pat, if you don't mind, you've already kind of beat me to the punch, so thank you, I appreciate it. How long you've been painting, so everybody in the chat knows. How long you've been painting? How long did this painting take you, the specific one that we're looking right on the monitor now? What mediums did you use? Oil, acrylic, did you use some liquid clear, some new type of medium, I don't know, cold wax press, anything like that? And what was the thing that you struggled most with? So that way I can try to tailor some things, or somebody else might be like, ooh, I want to know what he says about blah, blah, blah. If you could let me know in chat, that'd be awesome. So that way I could give you a little bit more feedback. This is oil on canvas paper, so we got part of it. Ugh. You had a hard time with the leaves. Noted. I always have a hard time with the leaves. And they're a bitch. Hey, welcome on your 1-year anniversary of painting. Congratulations, dude. Took about 3 hours. Okay. Good. Let's take a look here what we can do. So the very first thing we noticed, you almost have to visually take out the trees for what we're going to critique first, because obviously I'm going to start with the background and kind of work my way forward. Okay, Pat? So your sky that you have here, I don't know why I'm talking with my hands. I should be using my cursor over here. The sky that you have right here, all right, is okay because it's basically just one mass of color, which is fine if that's what you're trying to replicate. But you could add more depth by using the natural gradient that the color would shape by using wet on wet, by having a liquid base of white underneath. So you could have different dimensions and different densities of color pockets, which would make it look like there's more moisture in the air or light is hitting different pockets rather than one solid gradient mass. So what to do is you kind of just, using my hand again, when you come in here, you can start within the corners and do your cross strokes, okay? And then you can do like cross stroke here, cross stroke here, cross stroke here, cross stroke here. Now the reason you work in this 3 section here and this 3 section here is you're naturally already making what is called a vignette, which is where you're focusing the colors or the contrast and pushing it to be a center focal point. So darker on the outsides or more vivid even on the outsides, depending on how you want to approach your artwork, and then pulling that gradient towards the center. So that way our eye is fixed at a certain location. Yours is doing nothing. It's just going straight down in a solid blue mass. So the reason you do the 3 there and the 3 there is your most concentration of colors is going to be in your corner, naturally creating a vignette. And then you can take your cross strokes and continue across, and then take your, and then that's it with a 1-inch brush. And then with a 2-inch brush, you can go across this whole entire thing and start brushing down with really big cross strokes, and then let it naturally blend with that white underneath. And before you know it, when you get to about right here, which I'm going to switch to a color here for you, when you get like right here, you're going to notice it goes to a very, very light blue, almost white even. And then that's when you can take your red, which is right around here. You can take that, do the cross strokes down at your horizon line, and then pull that red up to where it meets that blue. And you're going to have this beautiful gradient style that's going to have transitions from deep saturated colors to light milky colors. And it's going to add all this natural depth in your painting and play these colors in your sky. That's going to look great. And it's an easy thing to do. I feel like you got a little heavy-handed with your paint, which then before you knew it, it got out of control, which is common when you're first starting out. But I love the color choices. I actually think a very rose red and anything along that spectrum on top of white creates a most beautiful pink, which plays beautifully in the sky. So just remember, start out with just a little bit of paint, but work in those corners first to create that vignette, and then pull those colors down. You can always go back and add more, but when you start heavy-handed, it's very hard to take away. You got to go back, scrape, add white, and then reblend, and before you know it, you've already wasted 2 hours on just an easy sky. All right. Alizarin Crimson mixed with white looks great too. I like Alizarin Crimson because since it's a semi-transparent color, it'll pick up a lot of things underneath and then, color shift one way or the other. But if you have a little extra money, get yourself, I think mine I have is the Winsor Newton, I think it's called Red Rose. And it's basically a Alizarin Crimson, but an opaque paint, which means it's more dense, not see-through. And it looks beautiful when it's mixed with white. It makes a very, very beautiful baby pink. All right, so we got the sky out of the way. Now the thing you have to decide on, and you probably did this to make it easier for you, is you probably knew there was gonna be leaves in the top of the painting, and you didn't want to challenge yourself or hurt yourself, if you will, by putting clouds there that would be layer on top of layer on top of layer, so it'd be hard to stick. So you have all these really low-hanging clouds. Now there's nothing wrong with low-hanging clouds, but I feel like your clouds are basically humping each other, and there's no separation between them all. And they stand out because they look unnatural. Not that there's any such thing as a natural cloud. Clouds come in any shape, size, density, color. However, when you look at a painting, you'll notice when something looks off, because these do look like sponge brushes or cotton balls that were just kind of put there. So what I'd recommend, Pat, is if we knew where we're going to only put clouds, let's say in this general area here, and maybe in this general area here, what I'd recommend, this is kind of hard to show on camera, but do I have a paintbrush? Give me 1 second. This isn't the best paintbrush because it's a thinner fan brush. It's what I'd recommend, Pat. Excuse me, I had a burp there. Take your paintbrush, and in one of the videos I did where Alejandro tries to paint for the first time, load your fan brush up with white paint. Put just a tiny bit of medium in if you got that Gamblin solvent-free gel. Perfect little medium, just add a little drop or two in, just so it loosens up a little bit. And then take your brush, and as you pull it through, try to hold here, you want to wiggle it through. And what that does is it takes all the paint that's down here kind of close to the ferrule, and it pushes it up towards the tips of it. So that way when the paintbrush hits the canvas, there's available paint for you to work with. And what I want you to do, take your paintbrush, come in, turn, dip a tiny little bit. So now you've got this little inkwell of a pen tip on your fan brush to work with. And as you go to your painting, you start whisking. And where I want you to start your whisk is, let's move my face out of the way, is I want you to start your whisk right here, okay? At your point of your cloud, and then I want you to start whisking up and out and down and out, and put hard pressure, light pressure, because that'll add different pockets. And just pull this cloud up in different directions. Now, it doesn't look like anything when it's on digital, but when you go back and you use your fan brush, what's happening is, it's kind of hard to show you guys. I'm sorry. I wish I had a bigger fan brush, but it's in my garage at the moment. Is when you go and you put pressure down, is this fan brush is going to whip up, and it's going to expose these other bristles that are at the top loaded with more paint, and create these beautiful little whipped crowns that are on top of your cloud that give these different angles and movements, and like wind is kissing it or sunlight has kissed it, and you just whisk, and eventually you're just gonna hit different parts, and it goes boom, 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 and just fade it off to the canvas. Just keep it going, and then take a paper towel and then wipe that off. And if you want to add another cloud, go back and do it, but just do one cloud at a time. And the reason I say go up and out is because when you create this beautiful little angle that you have right here, and you do a cross stroke on it, and then give it a nice little lift to give some wind, and then work out the brush strokes, you're gonna have a cloud that you made in 3 seconds that looks like it's got beautiful motions and angles to it. And so the nice thing about it, you say you need to do a cloud study, but if you just start with that little whipped motion, you don't really need to do much of a study. Just remember to go up, down, left, right. Just have a little motion in your hand and it'll naturally create all this beautiful stuff. And if you don't like it, this is where the cloud study comes in. Take your palette knife and just scrape across and out. So that way you can have more freedom to go back and retry it if you want, because there's going to be so much little color right there at the horizon because you're bringing the red up and the blue down. It's basically going to be close to white right there. So you'll have a lot of time to practice with it. It's not even muscle memory. Like, the reason paintbrushes like this are so long is because they're meant for you to actually stand further back so you can have more range of motion within your fingers, your hand, your wrist, your forearm, your elbow, your muscles in your bicep and tricep, your shoulder, your whole body, to get it to move. Painting is supposed to be, with longer brushes, free and loose. And it's not really about muscle memory so much because there is no really memory to a cloud. Made up of a bunch of water molecules and wind that have been pushed around. So be free and loose when you're first starting to do it. And trust me, you'll be super impressed at some of the clouds you make. You go, holy crap, that looks like there's a lot of movement. And you'll be super impressed. And you can do that on both sides of your canvas, obviously. You can go left, you can go right. Hey, what's up, Zachary? How you doing, man? I tweeted you different paintings. Just pick one that you think is better of the three. Honestly, I can't tell. I think they all need a lot of work. Well, cool. Zach, remind me at the end of this one, and I'll be more than happy to add it to the queue here, buddy. It's just YouTube members get first pick, so feel free to join if you like, but I appreciate the support nonetheless, my friend. Alrighty. You know what I really, really like about your painting? Oh, you know what? I forgot to, there we go, duplicate there. I like your little sun. Now, if you're going to have a sun that's going right here, you have to remember your light source has to reflect within the environment that you're creating. So you have the hottest, brightest spot is right here, okay? So that means your highlights for your clouds would be coming from that direction, and this cloud you have down here, it'd be coming from technically underneath and poking through. So your highlights are in the wrong spot. They have to be on this side and a little underneath and a little on top, and then they have to fade away. So I know it's more of an advanced technique, but just remember that whatever you're establishing for your light source has to naturally play throughout the whole environment of your painting. So when you put highlights on your trees, your highlights would be super intense right here because it's right next to your light source, and then it would fade and get darker or less intense as it got away from the light source, okay? Same thing with your highlights or your reflection, which you actually did really well, Pat. You had this beautiful color of yellow and then white, and then you let the yellow, fade away as it was naturally going down. That is smart. That's what would happen. So you did it here. You just didn't sadly do it on your clouds and on your horizon line of your tree line. Now, when it comes to your horizon line of your tree line, if I could give you a bit of advice, it looks like you had layer building issues because paint probably wasn't sticking. And what I'd recommend for that is please invest in blue shop towels. And here's the trick, all right? This is going to save you heartache and pain. Once you put in your gradient for your sky and your water, and you put in your clouds, and you know that you're going to want to do a tree line here for your horizon. By the way, may I commend you on a straight horizon line. That just deserves a clap by itself, because trust me, that can be tough. Here's what you want to do. Take a blue shop towel, wad it up into, like, I don't know, size of an iPhone. There, that's something we can all relate to for a measurement style. Size of an iPhone, palm it in your hand, and then put the curve shape that you bent over on the outside towards your fingers. Now just go straight across your canvas or canvas paper and wipe off everything that you're going to be putting in that inch of space. Now you've exposed the toothing underneath the canvas, okay, or canvas paper, which is going to allow paint to stick. Now, before you put paint on there, take your 2-inch brush and just reblend gingerly on top of everything so it doesn't look like you put a big mishmash of, force across it. Now, paint will more easily stick to the canvas, making it less heartache for you. So you can go in with your paintbrush, your 1-inch brush or fan brush or filbert or whatever you want to use. Go through your dark color, although it wouldn't be too dark. because you don't want to have too much distinguish. Go in there and just start tapping with pressure and pushing it. You can actually be a little forceful here, because what will happen is when you push, Pat, those bristles in the brush will start to go like that. They're going to pop out like Bob Ross's hair and go in all these different directions, which is what you want for the background. So that way there's no discernible shape kind of thing going on. And then you can go through and you can cut with your knife to add these little illusions of tree trunks if you want, or swoop up with a little dark brown to make trunks with a fan brush. And that'll be way easier. And then you can go with your knife with a little bit of brown if you want, add in a little bit of baby land, which I think would make it stand out even more. And it's just as simple as that. Obviously pulling down for reflections and whatever else you want to add in. But I think that would really help because it looks like he had paint sticking troubles, which we all go through at times. I have that all the time. I've been painting some layers of clouds on layers of clouds, and I'm still having issues with it. But that's just how it is sometimes, you know? I wish there were some highlights in the big trees. Yeah. So you're not wrong. I mean, having a silhouette is a creative choice that Pat is allowed to make. It's his environment. So I would say I would be okay with silhouetted shapes for the trunk, branches, and honestly, the tree leaves. But you know where I would put a little bit of highlight, and I feel like he tried to do, because you can see some different tones of black and gray, is I would put some highlights down in here, because this sun, remember, the sun is reaching across to here, so we might not see it within the tree trunks because the tree trunk is actually blocking it, and same with the leaves. But these blades of grass that are coming up, these are different shapes, different sizes, different dimensions, different planes. So you could take a little bit of yellow, or yellow and green and black, different mixtures, and flick up and create different aspects, which would help create planes of separation, creating more depth. The biggest issue I have before we get there is it looks like you had blending issues here, Pat, and it looks like you had a blending issue here. Like you're almost going to put something else. So I'm not sure. Hey, Jack, how you doing there? How's everything going on with you? Nothing wrong with spending a lot of time blending. In fact, I find blending really soothing. Don't be afraid for this first section of this circle that we created here, Pat, to sit here with a 1-inch or a 2-inch brush and do some cross strokes. Do some short ones. And then when you do some short ones, do some long ones and work everything in that you want. And then when you're done there, back and forth to work out some paintbrush strokes so that way everything looks naturally going down. It's okay to have sparse or patchy spots. Like I actually like here where it goes from the red baby pink into this purple patch and then into blue. Like this little patch here, it's like, okay, this could be a well of cold or warm water or a deeper spot in the lake. That's what naturally happens, and I think it adds character. But when you have this hard discernible line here and this hard discernible line here, it distracts from the eye, and we don't want that. I would say probably the thing that you failed hardest with is tree leaves, which we'll get to in a second. But the thing that bothers my eye the most, Pat, is this landmass that comes out is very weird. It's not natural, and it's very hard to explain because we talked about this in one of my videos about rather than building a curvature in your land with curved lines, you should build multiple straight lines that end up building a curve, because those straight lines will be natural planes that throw things further back. And it's something that takes a while to understand. I struggle with it all the time because even my brain skips to curved lines when I'm like, oh, I should put a plane here, a plane here, a plane here, a plane here, and a plane here. And it's like that just made a curve naturally. And now it just looks like I have different rows of grass or foothills or shore banks, things like that. So what I would do, Pat, is if you end up repainting something like this, which I would recommend if you have another piece of canvas paper, doing that, because this will be a great exercise for you, is I would bring my landmass, let's just say, right to the 50 point, okay? And it curves down here. And I just tap that in with a 1-inch or a 2-inch brush. And then you know what? I'm going to let it just be like that. This was all tapping that I did in right here. Then I would bring in another plane that I would bring right here. And this was all tapped in. Then I would bring in another plane that I bring all the way down into the corner. And now I've kind of naturally made this little baby curve that goes around. And you accentuate that baby curve by taking the water lines you did here, I'm going to switch to green, and you put, not darker, more bold, more textured water lines that are hitting this water bank or river bank, and it'll eventually, again, make up more of this curve. So you're tricking the eye into seeing something that's there. And that's what we want to do. And now you have more of a natural plane to build these tree trunks off of, because you can put one tree trunk here on this layer, on this little layer here. Then you could build, you could probably let's put 2 here. We'll do 2. Like, you have 2 there. Then you could build a third. Let's say this guy's a little wonky. He comes over here on this plane, and now you've got one tree in front of another. You got one plane in front of another. Before you know it, you've built more depth in your painting by just changing up one simple thing. Rather than have one curved landmass, you've got multiple straight land masses that make up a curve. And now it's added more characteristics to it. And it's actually going to be easier for you to do. So that's the one thing I noticed. And then your tree leaves. And tree leaves are tough. Very, very tough. I struggle with them. Tally struggles with them. And it takes a while to understand paint consistency and paint viscosity makes a huge difference. And I can tell from here, you didn't have enough paint in your brush. You were being very stingy. And the reason that gives away is this little landmass of leaves right here. You have these like spots that are just so sparse that they look like they're just taps of mosquitoes around your branches because there was not enough paint on your brush. You got to get enough paint, and you got to apply enough pressure to where the bristles bend ever so slightly, and then when you pull away, it's going to have these little whip peaks that leave behind, creating thousands of beautiful little leaves in there. That's going to be something to do. So Pat, my advice to you, my friend, first of all, I love this painting. It's simplistic, it's bold, and it's something you can learn from when you paint it again. And I would recommend this weekend, if you have some time, my bud, to paint it. It's very, very easy. Just that blue sky with the vignette, carry that vignette even into the water if you wanted to. It would look a little more unnatural, but it would create a focal point to the center, which is fine. Then you add that pink and pull it up to where you need to. Wipe off that horizon line. Remember to blend it in. Then we could add our clouds that we're going to whip out to the side. Then you can blend those in to however hard you want. Then add in your tree line that's going to be straight, scratching some lines. Then, if you're going to add the sun, which the sun you did perfectly, I'm not even going to critique that, but remember your highlights have to fall away from that light source. So remember your clouds going to have highlights in relation to where the sun element is, and your tree and your grass have to have highlights in relation to where the element is. Then make sure you blend all the water accordingly to the way you want. Then build that landmass with straight lines that have those natural curves, put in water lines to accentuate it. Then put those trees on each plane that you need it to be on, and then add more paint for your leaves, and boom. I would love to see a compare and contrast if you do end up painting this from this one to the next one that you do, dude. Jack, what be good with you, man? Ace has sent you my first painting ever from last year also. Oh, I'll take a look in a second. You're going for the vignette in the bottom. So vignettes are easier to establish. I mean, I guess that makes more sense why it's so dark here and so light here. Vignettes are easier to establish when you start with the grounding of color, at least from my perspective, because you can stand back and look at what gradient you created, and then you could add more color or contrast in certain spots. And then when you have what you want, then you can build your elements of your landscape on top of it. So I'm actually super excited for you, Pat, because this isn't a hard painting. Like, no joke, you could probably paint this easily within an hour to two. The only thing that would be tricky is the trees or tree trunks and the leaves. That's the most difficult part. Everything else is pretty standard that you could easily do, and it'd be fun to see there. Jack going not bad, just hanging with my baby. Trying to keep him from waking his dad. Well, there you go. You're a good one. Got to get that sleep in while you can. I have troubles with trees too. The one way I get to hide my horrendous trees is putting detail in bark, because people go, ooh, texture, and it distracts from the wonkiness of my tree, if you will. So that's kind of like what I do a lot, is I play around with the texture in my tree, because I'm never really satisfied, because I'll kind of do what Pat did a little bit here, is I'll take my tree and I'll go up and I'm like, not all trees grow straight. So I'll add a little curve, and then I'll add another S curve, and before you know it, I'm like, oh, that doesn't look natural. But when you add all this texture on here, like let's just say these green lines illustrated highlights, I'll put, highlight layers in here that fade out in a way, and then the red would illustrate a highlight, but a shadow highlight. On the other side, that would be darker because it's fading away from that light source, and then it distracts from the wonkiness of my tree. That's kind of what I do. Alrighty. So Jack, first of all, thank you for letting, or not Jack, sorry. Jack, I'm glad you're here too. But Pat, thank you for letting us take a look at your art. I appreciate you sharing it with us. And I'm stoked to see what you paint next, dude. Super stoked. All right, let's get rid of that one. All right, who's next? Is anybody else a YouTube channel member that I can do? Pat, thank you for being a YouTube channel member. Makes me super happy. Looks like, oh, and thank you for sharing the Pikachu, Charizard, Bulbasaur, and Squirtle painting as well. That was beautiful, dude. I have already in the chamber here, we got Chris, Denny, and Jen that we can do. I can't remember which one, if any, are YouTube channel members, but if none are, then we'll just randomly go with one. Let me just take another bite of my banana. Your husband's on night shift? Sorry, the baby hit the phone. Oh, it's okay. Maybe your baby's just so interactive with my stream that I'm like, dope. No, Chris is. All right, Chris, we're going to grab you, dude. I'm just have, hey, Jackie. How you doing there? Jackie, you're here, but you don't know how to send a picture. Well, first of all, thank you for being here. I appreciate you. Twitter or Instagram is easiest. My socials are underneath the video player. I would appreciate that. If you can give me a nice follow. Anybody out there, if you give me a nice follow, helps grow my brand. It's a little way that you can pay me back. And we do YouTube members first. So we're going to start with Chris. Let me load you up. I'm actually stoked for yours, dude. Yours is beautiful. I love the colors. But let me just finish my banana chill. And then Jackie, I hope you're doing well this morning. I'm doing very good. Very good. My tea's coming in strong. Is anybody going to do anything cool this weekend? I have to finish 2 paintings. They'll be my last, or no, sorry, 3 paintings. I've got one more. Oh God, it's a weird measurement. I think it's a 10 by 20 canvas, gallery wrap. I'm going to do one more liquid flow on it. I just don't know what colors. So if you guys have a color combination of 3 colors you like, something that's analogistic, that work well in a color wheel together, give me your 3 color combination. I'll take it into consideration. Then I have to finish 2 landscape paintings. And then I have to do a bunch of varnishing, which I actually enjoy varnishing. I find it soothing, even though it's like mechanical to a degree. I don't know why. I like seeing the transition of saturation colors. Yeah, I think Pat did a great job. I think he did a good job. Awesome. You're YouTube. I think you're probably a YouTube subscriber. YouTube member would mean that you have that little symbol like you see next to Chris where it's got the weight and the little badge next to Pat's name. If you're interested in becoming a YouTube member, I think you got to go below the video player and there's a button there. I can't remember exactly because I don't get to see the same thing that you guys are looking at currently. I get to see the setup for the streaming tools, but it should be right around there. All right. Yeah. So Chris, if you don't mind, thank you for giving us a little bit of the information we're going to see here in a second. This is your 3rd painting, first doing mounts. But yes, let us know how long you've been painting. Let us know what mediums you are using. And if you don't mind letting us know, what did you struggle most with, or a little bit of feedback. Or an Aces. Yeah, Aces is a member too. Thank you. Little badge next to his name. You might you might make some 3D models using Cinema 4D. I've never used any of those tools. I wish you the best. All right, finished my banana chill. Let's switch over here to the review. I'm going to get rid of my ugly mug. So this looks beautiful. Let's duplicate this layer here so we can draw on it. Let's zoom in just a tiny bit so that we guys can get a full rendering of what's going on here. We have a beautiful soft sunset sky transitioning from our cad warm yellows to our soft reds and sherbets off to our blues and dark blues. We got beautiful smoky mountain style mountain ridge here, then silhouetted by another ridge with a tree line, foothills of grass leading into a water or river bank, whatever you want to go with. And then we got another separation of plane of layers of foothills with some riverbank, I guess you'd call it like shore banks, with some trees with some good bark and then leaves on them. This is dope, dude. I really, really like this, Chris. This is ambitious is the word I'm looking for. You got multiple planes here, multiple highlights, multiple colors, multiple textures. And I like the composition. The composition looks beautiful. You know, I never noticed that, Pat, that the members' names show up in green until you said that. Because I'm so used to Twitch that you can select the color of the username that you want. I just assumed that's what you guys were doing. And I was like, oh, people must like green. That is so funny. I just now noticed that you said that. This is why I have Pat. Pat's looking out for me. All right, so Chris says about 2 months in, I use Winsor & Newton oils. A palette knife is still not my friend. Okay, and I imagine palette knife's probably not your friend for mountains and tree bark, and maybe some of the land masses that you made for the shore banks. If there's anything else I missed, let me know. Or if I'm right on the money, I don't know, thumbs up emoji will probably just let me know. I feel like I need to turn my camera just a tiny bit that way. There we go. I'm going to get more of my beautiful face. All right, cool. Nailed it. See, I'm good. I'm a good man. All right, let's start with what we got here. First of all, I love what you did here. This is a beautiful painting. I'm going to give, you don't have to do this so much on a soft sunset, which I know is a little contradictory to what we did in Pat's. However, yours has more complex elements in it. So you don't really need to do a vignette because the eye's not focused in any one particular spot that you need it to be. So you can do a vignette if you want, which would be, you know, the same concentration of where you want to focal your eye point to. But I would say having a consistent color gradient would work. And for some reason, I don't know if this is a shadow or not. It could be that little hook claw from what holds your canvas down, just holding right above it and then can cast a shadow. But if this isn't a shadow right here, like we said before with Pat's, spend time blending in things so they don't stand out to be noticed as mistakes or something like that, okay? That's just the first thing I noticed. But the consistency of keeping layer gappage is beautiful. Like, between your blues and reds, you have this nice little gap of white here, which looks like there's awesome motion in your sky. Looks beautiful. Even though it's a calm sky, it still's got a little bit of motion and mystery to it. And then I love the color blending that you had to the yellows, and everything looks good. And you can even tell you carried it into your water reflection because you can just see the ever most slightest hint of yellow here, then red, and then fading off to the blue. So you did very good with your background element of establishing everything that you have. The only thing that I kind of think you could have done a little bit better, I think you try to cover up your mistake a little bit here, is over here behind the tree. That is the world's worst arrow I just drew. Oh my God. Is behind here. You can see your color faded into nothing because there's white here. You probably knew you were going to put something here, like your tree elements or your landmass, and then when it didn't cover it, you're like, oh crap. So I would have just carried this yellow and red over, but blended it out really, really strong so there's a little bit of color. And the reason I say that is because when you get to the trees here, you want to not cover this whole thing in paint. You want parts to poke through, and those parts to poke through are the sky, which means there would be a little bit of blue, a little bit of red, and a little bit of yellow poking through, again, creating depth and layer within those layers. Sorry, if that makes sense. Skies are my favorite thing to do. You know why? They're not intimidating, they're calming, relaxing, and you see instant results. And I think that makes people build confidence for the rest of the painting. So I love painting skies too. And it allows you to be free and fun. So everything out there looks great. Let's go on to our mountains here. I need to take a sip of water really quick. It does look like an autumn view. It looks beautiful. Looks beautiful. I love these color combinations that you have. So let's go with our first mountain range here, the one that's highlighted in a bunch of colors. I love the contrasty side. So I'm not going to comment on that because that's your artistic choice. But what I do want to recommend is the way that you design to shape your mountains is very palette knife. Oh God, what's the word I want to use? I can't think of a word. It's in the shape of the palette knife. Like right here, as you went up, this is the shape of the wedge of your knife. Like here's the blade side. Here's the fat side coming down. Let's see if we can do this. Do it in green. Like here's the blade, comes down, and it would go like into the shape here, like that, and then it'd go like into your handle, you know? Like palette knife there. Or it's even the other way. You know, your palette knife's coming down and it comes into the shape here, and then here's your handle. And then for this side, here's your palette knife blade, comes down like that, and then it's got a little extension, and then into the handle like that. So it's in the shape of the palette knife, and it shows now that you look at it as you're coming down and across. And the reason it looks like just the palette knife is because you just made a straight triangle here, and then you made a straight palette knife rectangle here with a little baby triangle here. So I would say to correct this, and this is the hardest thing. This is the hardest thing. So Chris, if I had to give you a little bit of coaching, what I'm here for, my friend, is when you're going in with your palette knife and you're creating the outer shape or outer line of what's going to be the template of your mountains that you're going to be putting in there. Hey, what's up, Deji Blazer? Love the name, dude. How you doing there, buddy? Is, no joke, have a little bit of a shaky hand. I don't know where you live, but if you have any mountain ridge or even hill range, you're not going to, unless mountains are super far away, they don't really have just like smooth transitions. They've got bumps. They've got the tectonic plates that move everything. They've got things growing out of them, things that have cracked, erosion has happened. So add a little bit of junky, shaky, you're coming down off cocaine hand going in there, you know? Just go like that and add a natural shape to a triangle, but add the bumps and go across. It's going to look stupid at first, but then when you scrape off all the inner paint and fade it down into the gradient style that you need to form the shape of the mountain, and then you go to add highlights, it's going to add so much character to your mountain that it's going to look beautiful. I always try to say, like, don't try to make triangles and don't try to make nature grow in straight lines, because it rarely does. You got one strong straight line here, you got one strong straight line here, you got a strong straight line here, strong straight line here, strong straight line here, strong straight line here, here, here. Okay? So we need to get your mind out of that. So here's what I would do. And I understand, you're still figuring out the palette knife. So let's simplify it for your skill level to build confidence for you, okay? So I know you're following a Bob Ross tutorial because you told me. So let's do this. I want you to eliminate this and this. We're going to go with two mountains. And here's how the great and powerful wild would do it, all right? Now you have to decide if you want this mountain here or this mountain here to be in front. Up to you. Artistic choice. Doesn't matter to me. But we're going to start with our palette knife. Let's say tough, because I don't want to lose this yellow, but we're going to lose a little bit of this yellow. I'd pull the yellow up. Let's start here, and I'd go up and jiggle, 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 wiggle, jiggle, biggle, wiggle, and bring down, jiggle, biggle, wiggle, jiggle, biggle, wiggle. Then I would continue my mountain, which would be my big one, jiggle, biggle, wiggle, jiggle, biggle, wiggle, jiggle, biggle, wiggle, jiggle, biggle, wiggle, 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 something like that. Then we can cheat and draw in our etching line to establish our I'm sorry, let's and then that would fade out into nothing, obviously. That would do that with a 1-inch brush. Then we can scratch in our cheater line for a highlight and shadow side, so it's easier for our eye to distinguish where we're going forward, okay? This is one of the best tips that I ever got from Nick Hankins. Take your knife, turn it over to the point, and scratch down to where you want the highlight side to go. We're going to do the same thing on here. Maybe you'd go something like that, and then it fades right into here, okay? So now we've established that this side's going to be our highlight side. This side's going to be our highlight side. And then the side in green here, this is going to be our shadow side, just like that. And now that I've established this, you can see it a lot better, you know? I know this is an archaic kind of drawing design, but we simplified it. And even though that these are simple triangles that we established here, with the wiggles in them, they're going to have a lot more character with that paint break, okay? And it's going to be a lot better for you. And now that we've broken up the straight lines, your eyes don't notice it as much. And that's what we need to try to do for you going forward. And then when you want to do the silhouette, I don't really have here, I'll do another color really quick. Or I was going to make it red. I'm like, I already have red. Now when you take the silhouette's fine. Just bring it up and drop it right in front of this mountain, add a little bump, add a little wiggle here too, and then fade it off. And now you've created two planes of depth in there. It's going to look beautiful, you know? I know it's a little archaic drawing, but I think you follow. But it'll help you out a lot, and you're not going to be in struggle town. Deji, I just wanna wiggle your hand when doing the mountains. It does help. Just add a little bit of wiggle in it. You could or even if you want to use something like a filbert brush, if you feel more comfortable using that, that's fine too. You don't always have to use a palette knife. Hey, what's up, Jolly Jellyfish? Can't see the left corner of the painting. I know, I'll move my face a little bit. I'm working my way down. You're not missing too much on the on here just yet, but we'll get there. Don't worry. When we get to that corner, I'll remove my camera for it. How are you doing there today, Jolly? Hopefully you're doing well. I know. Gotta get the jiggle wiggle, biggle wiggle. That's also the same motion I make when I'm in the strip club. I get a little excited. I'm a little boy. Your baby shut the TV off. He's a smart man. It's like, I don't like this guy. Don't blame him. You love the tree on the right side? I love a lot of the elements in this painting. It's got a lot of beautiful stuff. Okay, so we talked about the mountains. We corrected everything that you do there. I think it would be very easy for you going forward, Chris. The silhouette mountain is great. The only thing I would probably add, and you kind of did it a little bit here, is since your light sources, let me switch back to red for you guys. Excuse me, I'm going to take a bite of my banana here in a second. Since we established that the light source is right here, your light source would leak onto these certain elements in the mountain just ever so slightly. So you could take a little bit of white or yellow or whatever color you want to use to add into this black to dull it down, and just add in a couple of scratches of light cascading color down in here into where it would appropriately hit. And it would add so much character to your painting, which is some simple scratches. And it's just something you just learn later in life. Because now that I show it to you, you're like, oh yeah, there is a light source here. And the light would kind of push its way and wrap around parts of these mountains and corners. And it would just add a lot of character. I would probably try to find a tree line color that's a little bit separate. To be honest, I don't even know if you need the tree line here. I think it just blends in. I would probably just pull your grass layer up here more, because I actually think your grass layer looks beautiful. But again, you got to remember, since our light source is here, your strongest highlights are going to be in the same general area. And then as they fade away, they're going to get weaker and weaker. And you kind of did do that. Now I'll remove my camera. I still want to take a bite of my delicious banana that's right here. As you can see, like right here, you did a little bit of that, dude. You got your strongest highlights. And then as we work this way, you can see yellow, less, and even less. So you did a pretty damn good job of that. So kudos to you, my friend. Kudos to you. Still need to work on the curvature lines, like we just said with Pat's in the last one. You made a curve line essentially when you could just do straight line here, straight grass plane here, straight one here, straight one here, and then that's creating the natural curve going on like that, if that makes sense for you, bud. All right, excuse me. Now I'm going to take a bite of my delicious banana. Hey, what's up? I'm going to go with Pito, P11. How you doing there, bud? Not sure which way you like to say your name. Correct me if I said it way wrong. Deji, no, it's YouTube channel members first. It's the way that, it's one of the channel perks that I give. But once I go through all of them, then I just pick from the people that are in the chat that have already sent me art. So everybody's free game after that. But yes, it's a YouTube channel member perk that I like to give out. It's the way I get to reward my community for them helping support me and my endeavors. So you can feel free to become one. A little soft flex promotion there. I'm pretty good at it. Am I considering doing any painting tutorials on YouTube? Yeah, I've got a couple, but I have an art show coming up actually next week, P11, that I've been waiting or pushing myself through. So I won't be doing any painting tutorials till after I finish that art show. And I think one of the first ones, I've got a Wine Wednesday one that I've been chambering forever. But I'll be doing some simple ones and some more. I've been getting a lot of requests from people to do like tutorial building skills, like how to paint a cloud, how to paint a tree, how to paint a mountain, how to paint highlights on a bush, how to, fill in the blank. So I want to try to find a balance between doing simple tutorials that I think anybody could paint and build confidence, and then more established tutorials, but then also like element exercise tools, just from my own perspective, because I think it would help people a lot. He just loves remotes. Who doesn't? Everybody's a kid at heart. And some backlit paintings, are those harder to do? No, because you have to remember, when you're the artist, you're allowed to have creative freedom to some degree, depending on how realistic you want to be. And just because it's backlit doesn't mean that light doesn't cascade into the air and reflect back down. It just means there would be softer light in certain areas. So things can still be illuminated, but it's up to you as the artist to what you want to illuminate or show or contrast and not show. There's a couple of darker highlights on the shadows, but it was hard to tell where to put them, and that's fine. Like you said, you're still figuring out, but I think you did a good job. Like, the cool thing is your eye kind of fills in a lot of things, Chris, which is awesome. Like, if we stood back, let me zoom. If we stood back and like looked at this painting, you're like, oh dude, that looks cool. It's like maybe little daffodils or dandelions or highlights and grass is what he put here. And it's like you can see just ever so slightly because it's in the back, you know? And that's the illusion and awesome thing that the brain will do is when you're painting is it'll kind of fill in information. So you don't have to spend sometimes doing a lot of detailing work. Well, thank you, P11. I appreciate it, man. Twitter and Instagram is the easiest for me, Deji. All my socials should be in the description down below the video player at the moment. Alrighty, let's continue now that I enjoyed my banana. So we talked about the grassland should have more of a plain building in straight lines to create this curved line going in here. Let's remove my left-hand side now. So now you got a little bit of struggle bus going on here. So let's first talk about the water lines. You did a great job with your water lines. As they come down and across, it looks like there's some motion. I probably if you're gonna add water lines that are not on the shore bank, like you did here and you did here, that means your water is probably moving in this general direction, okay? So you should add a few water lines here, just a few, so that way the illusion of water movement is continually going on. And what you need to do between your water highlights here and your water highlights that you would eventually put here is these ones in the back have to be faded out more to blend into the undertone of color, because you got to remember they're further away, okay, Chris? And then the ones that you're going to put right here have to have more texture because they're closer to us. And putting more texture on them is going to push these water lines even further back, pushing the whole element of the painting further back, which is going to create natural distance, which is an easy little trick to do. Just you got to remember to do it is all. Those start off as drops that fill up your palette, and it's all right. We call it creative artistic freedom, my friend. Creative artistic freedom. All right, so now we've got your landmass here, and your landmass is pretty fine. I think you should have continued it like this, and then this little landmass here, you actually should have just built another layer going in front of it that this bush would have hid. So that way you've got like kind of like two coves coming in here. But it's fine. It's fine what you have. But it looks good. I love the thick highlights that you got going on there, dude. I love where the shoreline meets the water because it looks like there's some mud and rock hitting on here. You got a little bit of mud mixing this lower left corner, but that's probably because you were just finishing up the painting and you're probably like, fuck it, done. But let's talk about the big elephant in the room. You've got a big dark mass here that I'm not even sure what's entirely going on. You can see within a little bit of the painting that you got trunks coming up through here, but then I don't understand why it's so dark coming through here. I should be able to see through some of it, and I can a little bit like here and here, but I don't understand why it's so dark here. Unless these trees are blotting out the sun like in 300 when all the arrows were up in the sky, there should be more light cascading through this element here, and it's kind of distracting because it's so dark in the mid to foreground. So what I would probably do is if you're struggling with trees, let's simplify it again, dude. Let's eliminate all of this, okay? Instead of having 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-ish trees, let's have one big tree. Put a nice big fatty trunk up here, okay? You know what you could do? You can take this fatty trunk all the way up. So it goes off the painting. Maybe it's a big boy. And you could add some of these. You do a pretty good job of these little wispy, twigs. You could just add a few of those in there if you wanted. And then you could spend some time doing some dope highlight, bark on the side of your tree, and then some shadow highlight on this. And that way you can have a foreground element, which is pushing everything back. Or if you wanted, I say we still do one tree that just goes up like that. make them a little skinnier, and then you could add your leaves here. But now you're not going to be too bogged down by everything by having 5 trees as opposed to 1, because you can put more concentration on this. Hey, what's up, Dan? How you doing there today? How's it going on with you? And then from here, you made the same mistake that Pat did. You just didn't have enough color in your brush. You could see like right here, you had beautiful application of leaves coming in, but then when you tap in and then fade down, you're just losing too much color and it's getting contaminated. So what you need to do is when you take your paint, you need a lot of it, and you probably need to add a drop or 2 of paint thinner if you want to go that route, or a little bit of liquid medium if you want to go that route, or a little bit of like a solvent-free gel from like Gamblin if you want to go that route. You want to get your paint a little creamier, just a little bit creamier, or a little bit more flowy, or a little bit more flexible. Whatever terminology you like to use, you want to get it just a little bit more creamy, pull it through, load up that brush, and then on your palette, what I like to do is take that paintbrush and tap. And what should happen is these little whipped peaks should pull away from your brush and the palette. And then when you have that, you know you're going to have the correct application on your paintbrush. So when you go up and you tap and push, it's going to come off your paintbrush and stick naturally. And I'm only good enough to maybe get 3-4 pushes, if even that, before I have to wipe off the contamination on my brush, then reload my brush and go back. You're probably going to get, no joke, 1 to 2 pushes, and that's it. Don't try to do Bob. Don't try to do Bob. We're not there yet. Go one grouping of leaves, 2 grouping of leaves. Done. All right. Reload or wipe off and then reload. 1, 2. Okay, reload. And that's actually going to be better, because what's going to happen is it's going to take your muscle memory, your mechanics, and slow them down. You need to go slower. When you go too fast, you go leaf, 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 and before you know it, you filled out the whole thing, and you're like, fuck, now nothing looks distinguishable. When you only have 1 or 2 pushes, you go push, push. Okay, that's a good grouping. Don't want to eliminate all the contrast, so let's go down here. All right, wipe off, reload, leaf, leaf. Ooh, okay, yeah, that's where the sunlight's hitting. Makes you go slower so you get more time to think about it. Okay, we're still building structures for you. So I would say that's all you need to do. And then that you dominated that side there. And then you know what? I have close to no critique on the right-hand side. I think you did a damn good job on your trees here. I think they could be a little bolder. It looks like it looks like the paint ran, thin's not the right word. The paint ran not enough. There's like sparse spots a little bit here. It looks like it couldn't stick in certain areas. You just need to make it more flexible. But if you're going to add highlights, you put the highlights kind of on the wrong side. Since your highlight is brighter, well, it's tough. Your sun is technically here, because you got a bright spot here and a bright spot here. But in my mind, I want to say this is your established light source, so it would come this way. So I think you'd want to put your highlight on your left-hand side here more, and that would better balance out the painting, okay? And then the last bit of advice I'm going to give you, Chris, is you got to remember with your highlights here, you need to add some differentiation between the highlights, because it can't be the same color as the ones here as the ones here. So you got to put your highlight just kind of on this side, and then let this corner fade down into darkness, and it would just build more characteristics. Good job though, adding a little bolder in here, dude. I like it. All in all, I think you did a fantastic job. You just have some small things that you need to correct. I would say a big advice that I always give people is, I'm like, oh, repaint it again. I wouldn't repaint this again yet. I would paint it again 1 month from now, or a couple weeks from now, whatever you can paint, because you're gonna allow it to sit. Let this painting sit somewhere you can see it almost every single day, so that way you absorb what you did and you go, okay, oh yeah, I'm gonna do this, oh yeah, and then oh yeah, okay, I'm gonna bring this, oh yeah, okay. It's gonna get you amped up, so that way when you go back, keep this painting over here, and when you're painting in the new one, you can make the changes and corrections, and then you'll have a good compare and contrast, because within that month you would have tried other elements and a bunch of different things that would pay off for when you redo this piece. But I like this. I think this is a very good painting, dude. All in all, you should be extremely proud and extremely happy. You could use a paper towel to make the darker layers dry, or darker elements drier if you want. It's a personal choice if you're having trouble sticking. That was one of the advices we gave in the last painting, was using a blue shop towel to clean off the horizon line, so when you're throwing in your tree line, it would easily stick. It's up to personal choice if he was having that issue. I think when you minimize or push this painting back, I see contrast within the land mass, so I don't know if he needed that. But it's good advice nonetheless. Your biggest problem is the amount of paint and loading the brush correctly for tree leaves. And it's something that you just learn, dude. It takes a while. It takes a while. To be honest, I struggle with it too. Because you just don't know. You're worried that you have too much paint. It's going to be a cluster of leaves, and it's not going to look good. And then sometimes you're like, oh, this isn't enough, and it looks too faded. It's just something you learn in time, and it's a difficult journey on it. But don't worry, dude. You're getting there. I'm very impressed with what you painted. Very impressed. I think you did a beautiful job. I'm stoked for you. I stoked for you. Alrighty. Who we got next? Up in here. Up in here. Let me take another bite of my banana. Let's get this loaded up in here. Okay. Banana. I always tell myself I'm gonna eat, and then like I never do. Alright. Thank you for sharing your art, Chris. I honestly appreciate the courage you have. I love seeing what you're painting, dude. That's great. You guys don't realize, even when you guys show me like shitty artworks on here and stuff you're not proud of, that's still worlds above what I did at that time. So it's so awesome seeing what you guys have been crafting and molding and absorbing and applying from what you've learned. It's awesome. Like, I've shown some of my first 2 paintings on here. Trust me, they're nothing to write home about. Alrighty. Let's, if there's any other YouTube channel members that want to do anything, I'll be more than happy to grab your stuff. But, let's see. We've got Denny and Jin. And then I think somebody else said they sent me some stuff. So if you're still here, let me know. I can try to grab that real quick. I can pull up my Instagram, see if that's still loading anything. Probably have to email it to myself again. Sent yours on Twitter. I've not checked the Twitter. Oh, you know what? I can just. I don't want to keep going on the phone. Twitter. Was yours from the Chivalrous Fox by chance? Oh, wait. Or maybe it just came through? No? Or maybe it's under notifications? Oh, it's under notifications. Sorry. I thought you DM'd it to me. Ooh. These are pretty, Zach. Out of the 3, Zach, which one would you like me to grab for what we have? Oh, probably confused because your name. Well, then you're next, my friend, because you've got a badge next to your name. So we'll get you going. But if you want to let me know which one you'd like me to grab from you, Zachary. If you want me to do, God, I don't know. Give me your best way of describing, like the orange one, the mountain one, or the green lakey one. I guess that's the easiest way for me. Hey, what's up, Ryan Owens? How you doing there, man? What's going good with you, bro? Ooh. Denny, this is a good one. All right, let's pull this over here and let's move on to him. Just let me know which one you want me to grab, Zach, and then I'll add it to the queue of what I have. Ooh, sun's starting to come out. It's gonna be a Is it gonna be a good day? Let's take a look at the weather really quick. Says in Southern California, it is going to be, oh, only 77. Not bad. That's like perfect relaxation temperature weather. I'm looking forward to it. Just take the one I like most and rip it apart. I'm very good at that. Let's see. Let's I like the vertical, or sorry, horizontal one. All right, Zach, bam, there we go. And if you guys like what you see here, don't forget that you can always follow me on Twitter and Instagram. I'm sure you're probably already following on my YouTube channel. I appreciate it. But also, if you want to go above and beyond and become a YouTube channel member, that does help me out. So I appreciate all the love and support that you give. You guys are awesome. Now let's move on to more tearing apart this person's soul. All right, we've got aces coming up here, which is Denny, which I'm excited to take a look at. You just sent me one and you have Ryan? Okay, cool. Remind me at the end of this one so I can grab it. Let me take a sip of my drink here. Ah, delicious. All right, let's get to the review side here. Let's review my face. There we go. Let's zoom this in just a tiny bit for everybody to see there. So we got a nice ice cold winter landscape. Mr. White, how are you doing there? Can I review yours? Yeah, I can. We'll add it to the queue if we can get to it in time. YouTube channel members get first dibs. So here we go. We got a beautiful ice cold landscape here that just makes me feel icy, and I like this. I love the texture we got in the clouds. I love the distance that we got going on with the mountain range at an angular angle. Sure, we'll go with that. And then a distant tree line here on a snowbank, and then another tree line that's on our mid bank here, swooping into a lake, river. I feel like it's more calm, so I'm gonna go with lake. We'll see. It looks like it's even a little frosted chill over. It looks dope. Hey, what's up, Space Jumper? Guten Tag. How you doing there? How's everything going on with you? Good morning to you. All right, let's take a look at what we got here. Let's bring back my beautiful face, because that's what keeps the women here, obviously. So, first of all, love it. I love the simplicity of it. I love the feel I immediately get from it. Cold. Cold. Isolation a little bit from it. I get a strong feel from this, okay? But let's see what we can do to correct it a little bit. Now, if you wanted to add a little bit of natural depth into it, you kind of did the same thing that all the other two have done today. And that is, you've brought your slate gray blue, all the way down pretty much in the same consistent color fashion. What I personally would do, but it's an artistic choice. It's an artistic choice. But if you wanted to build more natural depth in your painting, is I would take this slate blue color and take it straight across there, take it straight across here, okay? One strong, solid color band. Then I would take my 2-inch brush and blend to right here, and then take my 2-inch brush, blend to right about here, and create a natural gradient that's going to squeeze to a white band near the middle. Now, why would I do that? 2 reasons. One is it's going to add a natural white layer. I'm going to switch up the color here. Add a natural white layer here, creating more of a haze / ice fog effect that you get to play with later in your painting for your mountains and tree separation line, okay? Number 2 is now I have, within this green area here, I have virtually no color, which means I'm going to have an easy time creating things like paint breaks, adding tree planes, and swooping of snow, because it's going to stick to my canvas a lot easier. That's personally what I would do it. I'm essentially cheating to make things easier for myself, but I have valid reasons why I would do it. Not that there's anything wrong with the way that you created your background color ground, but that's just personally what I would do. And I would say maybe give it a try. Maybe give it a try. But I like what you have. The next thing I have here is I would probably create a little more separation of color contrast between your clouds. some of it gets a little bit lost in here because it gets a little bit muddy. And you can't really see where there's a separation of planes of clouds, Denny. But I like what you had. I feel like you were 72.8% there, but then got lost in how to shape a little bit of the clouds to create separation. You're going to need contrast. And what happened is it looks like when you started making your clouds, they started blending into the background there and not separating out as much, okay? So what you can do is you can wipe off where you know you want to put a cloud with a paper towel exposing that toothing, and then put that white in, and then when you blend, it's going to stick on that tooth a lot more, so that way it doesn't blend and scooch or swoop away, if you will, from that concentration of color, making it more concentrated so you're going to have stronger whites or whitish colors next to your slate grays or slate bluish colors, creating separational planes in the sky, and that's going to help out, okay? Space Jumper, I actually bought a 2-inch brush, the BRI, and it's not bad. It's even not made of nylon or polyester. It's animal hair, and it didn't lose any hair since I've unpacked it. That is that's impressive. Mine always lose hairs, but I mean, that's any brush pretty much. Most of the ones that I've gotten, can you let me know on yours, on the handle? Does it say where it's made from, Space Jumper? I imagine maybe yours is made in Germany. Most of the ones that I get, at least the brushes I have, are half. They're like mixed now. Like, so like half real, half synthetic. Deji, you submitted yours? Made in Germany. Okay, that's what I thought, because I have one that was kind of like more natural, made in Germany too. I wonder if the laws are different there. Alrighty, so let's continue back to this. Remind me, Deji, at the end of this, and I'll try to grab it, okay? All right, so the only critique is I actually think your mountains are pretty good here. Now, when it comes to these mountains, I feel like you don't need a lot of detail. I feel like there's an ice, fog, haze, kind of giving us non-strong concentration of focalness for your mountains, which I think is a beautiful thing because it shows that there's different in character in the landscape. The only thing I don't like is everything more or less is on the same plane, or same height level, and is a point. They're all pointed triangles, just like that, except for whatever this is. This looks like a giant mound boob, but that's fine. I like boobs. But we need to fix this because, look, if we just drew a straight line, look, it's all pretty much the same height. You want to break up the monotony of that. So I'm going to switch to a red here. You could, you know, have that shaky hand and bring that down, then over, then down, then over. Maybe it goes there and goes back up and then down and fade. You can add a little more characters by making them all not straight points. And then just like we said in the last one, you must be left-handed because your highlights are on this side, which is fine. You can add in these cracks going down and in, add in these cracks going down and in, cracks going down and in. These are our highlight sides. Put your highlight on this, highlight on this, highlight on this, so forth, so forth, so forth. Shadow side, shadow side, shadow side. These can meet and connect, creating awesome valleys. Same here. Nice little planes down. Maybe this one doesn't. This one just cuts straight down because we won't see because trees are in the way. But now you've created more of a natural looking mountain range for yourself. Hey, what's up, Primal? How you doing there, man? What's going good with you, dude? How's the workday treating you so far? Hey, what's up, KR? How's everything going on with you, dude? How you been? But I think that would help you out a lot. But I do appreciate and love how even though there's bold paint application, like you've got bold highlight of caked on snow here, 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 or probably just hit it here, 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 and here. I still think it's very, very soft because the way you tapped up and into the mountain, which I think is great because I think that pays off to the environment that you got here. Oh, you're right-handed, but you're trying to challenge yourself. That's fine. That's good. Cool, man. I think that's cool. I think you did a good job on your mountains. I just think we could just fix the ridge design to make it look more natural, if that makes a lot more sense. I'm having a good one, KR. I'm having a good one. My buddy Tally's here. So we're going to do some art and relax for the rest of the day. But we're getting ready for the art show, which is next Thursday. So everybody wish me luck on that. Don't worry, I'll keep you abreast of the situation of everything that's going on. Yeah, this is a good one, Prime. This looks great. Oh, not working today. So you're working Sunday then? Oh, must have a tough day for Primal. I'm doing good. I'm doing good. All right, so I will say I like the attempt of doing like this of the little tree lines going up the mountain. What you have to remember is you'd have to apply it to all mountains. So if you're gonna do like little trees growing here, you got to do it like here a little bit and do it in planes. You only have it in one clustering. That's fine. I still don't understand what this is. It looks like you were gonna put trees here, like bushes maybe, but I don't understand what this rounded mound is. But it's fine. It's just it looks out of place, if you will. I feel like you could have probably continued the mountain down and then tap it out so it just looks like it fades off into the background kind of stuff. But I like the tree line that you're going up in here. I feel like you did a good job of making it not uniform. So look, you got lows, you got highs, you got lows, you got highs, you got lows, you got highs. But the thing that I would probably correct is since your tree line is going this way and technically getting a little closer to us, I would have started my tree line with my tapping in of my brushes here and then worked this general way, because what would happen is all of that pigment in color would eventually fall off the brush to everything gets super lighter here. And it looks like you kind of did that, but this pigment and this pigment are about the same. So maybe you did reapplications at times and worked in shorter segments. But if you did that, it would add to the illusion of depth because it'd be fading away. Your snow looks fantastic. The only thing I would probably do is I would add more highlights. These shadow colors that are coming in, beautiful. But what you need to do is where there's some shadows is go ahead and throw in some extra white highlight kind of close to them. And it's going to look, as soon as I bring my beautiful face back in here, it's going to look like there's little subsections that are sitting of mounds higher in front of it that light hit. So you just add those little swoops of like snow banks and hills and crevasses that are there. And it's going to look so much cooler. And it's so simple to do. Take a little bit of a filbert or flat or even a fan brush. Just put a little bit of paint on it and just go. If you added too much, clean off your fan brush, your filbert or a 1-inch brush, and just gingerly fluff it out. And it's that easy. You could even probably do a little bit of an extra shadow side by taking a little bit of like a, I would say like a dark icy blue. Maybe just like a notch more saturation than your slate and go behind the highlight and add that so it looks like it's going to add more of a rolling hill to it effect. It'll look cool. It'll pick up that undertone of color. Hey, what's up, Carrie? How you doing there? So nice to see you again. Thank you. I appreciate it. Good to see you, Carrie. Hopefully you're doing well. Will you be taking pics at the art show and sharing with us? I most definitely will. My buddy Primal, who's in the chat right now, will be going there to help sell my artwork. Primal, I'm going to be working the hell out of you. I'm bringing my GoPro. I'm bringing my camera. We're going to try to do a document thing, and I'm going to try to make some video content out of it, because one of the questions that I sometimes get asked by you all is how to sell artwork. And I don't want to toot my own horn, but I'm pretty good at it, and I've learned a lot of things. And I want to teach you those things, but I'm going to use the visuals from the art show that I'm going to help illustrate my points. And then it's going to be me, and I can't remember, it's going to be somewhere between 45 and 75 other artists. And I've always wanted to do on this channel is interview other artists that do different approaches to art, but also different mediums. Because you can learn so many great tips from somebody that does digital art, watercolors, sculpting, perlers, weaving arts, like crochet and whatnot. And I think those would be, I want to do fun little interviews. That actually reminds me that I need to probably go get a microphone today to do it because my other one broke. But I think that'd be fun and beneficial. Or like five tips that you think would be good for brand new artists. Go! Like fun things. But I'm going to document the whole thing, but it'll probably still be about a week to 2 weeks from Thursday before I even get a chance to make something out of it. But stay tuned, Carrie. Stay tuned. And thank you for the well wishes on the great success. Either way, I'm going to have fun and get drunk. So, win-win for Ryan. But feel free to add to giving me a little tip to buy a boozy drink, because I love my booze. All right, so we talked about the banks, and then the only thing left is the tree. Now, I actually think this painting does extremely well with sparse trees. This landscape to me is harsh, as in the element that it's dealing with at the moment is very harsh that it has to go through. So I like how there's gaps in the trees because things probably aren't growing so well in this harsh environment for a lot of things. However, a lot of your paint application should be solid at the trunk side because the trunk is going to be the main element in this painting. So what I would probably do is, it's hard to describe, but when you have a fan brush, which I actually happen to have right here, is I would keep my cluster of paint really close to the trunk. So when I'm tapping in, I would probably start establishing a really firm trunk. Because remember, it's been iced over, frozen, beaten to death. It's got all this bark that's been shelled on by all the different winds and everything hitting it. So I would create a really strong trunk and then go back for the next layer and create my subsection of leaves that are growing out in sparse areas. And I feel like that would help out a ton because it feels like you just have some sparse, non-good applications of paint sticking in weird spots, kind of spot or stuff. But I love how you fade it down and out naturally in this way. And that's pretty much it. I think you did a good job on your water lines. I don't think you need too much. I think you faded them out naturally because it looks like it's a frozen-ish lake. The only other advice I would probably give is I would maybe add a little more saturation down here and then pull it up into the Slater gray-brown area, darkish area, because I think that would create a cool little eye color play to add to the frozen lake. But all in all, dude, it's a great little painting. Simple painting. I love simple paintings. I think sometimes that's the best. Dude, so we opened up one of the cards last night, Primal. The thing I can lay fully in. It's awesome. It's awesome. I have a feeling you're going to give a shit, though, because like when I've gone to the conventions before, you'll see people bring carts, but they're like little 3-foot carts. Ours is like 4 times longer. They're going to be like, you can't do that. I'm going to be like, fuck. But we'll see. Hopefully nobody gives a shit. You like this one, Chris? Take out the mountains. Could be Minnesota. I like it all. I like simplistic things a lot of times. You're welcome. I love the advice. Thank you. Your vids are responsible for progressing I've made in the past 10 months. Well, you're welcome, dude. This one would be... I think you did a really good job. Like, I see a lot of simple mistakes, and I'm sure you did too, because you even said you were challenging yourself. I wouldn't say you necessarily need to paint this one again. I think you could take a lot of these elements and paint something similar, but something else that would challenge yourself. But the things you could learn from here, like, you know, applying the paint for the clouds so you get separation, having mountains so they are more simplistic so they turn out the tree lines of how they fade up in the correct way, adding the little highlights to the snow bank so it stands out a little bit more, then maybe adding a little more saturation in the dried, frozen over lake. That would be cool. And then before you know it, like, boom, you got a dope painting. Perfect for perfect for passing out and napping. we're gonna take the second cart, bring a blanket and a pillow, dude, and that's gonna be the power nap section. Then you guys could roll me around to the cabana for a beer. You sent me like 5. First to my last. Okay, cool. I think we got somebody in front of you. We got Jin, if Jin's still here. And then some other people sent me some things. I probably only got time for 1 or 2 more. But let's take a look. Thanks for allowing us, Denny. Denny is Aces Wild. Thank you for being a YouTube channel member. I appreciate the support. And thank you for allowing us to take a look at your art, my friend. Beautiful as always. All right, Jin's in here. I got to get to Jin because Jin's been waiting from the beginning, and he's been doing awesome. I got it like an itchy eye. It's pink eye. No. All right, let's close this out. Let's grab Jin. Pull him up there. And then what did you send yours on? Oh, Ryan sent it on Instagram, I think, because I saw it pop on my phone. Or Twitter. Maybe it was both. Or no, wait, that's Instagram. And then we also got Zach's, too. Maybe those will be the last 2 that I get to, including this one here. On Twitter DMs. Oh, I see it, Deji. Okay, cool. Let me accept that. Oh, you got some beautiful ones. Okay, well, maybe I'll do some quick ones here since you guys are not YouTube channel members, but we'll go through it real quick. All right, well, let's get through Jin's first, though, because I did promise him. So remind me after that, and then we'll grab the next that we got. So, there we go to the review section. There we go. Let's blow this up. Let me make a duplication of the layer. Let me get rid of my face. There we go. And it's a little hard to see with the blown up picture, but this is actually, it looks to be on some type of circular. It almost looks like God, I can't tell. It almost looks like this is like plaster, like down here in the bottom where it curls up and around. Like obviously you had like contact paper around it, but Jin, do us a little bit of a favor. Let us know how long you're painting, what mediums, what did you struggle most with? Give us a little DL on this painting. Yeah, you probably might feel even a little crappy tomorrow too, Primal. No getting sick, though. No getting sick on us. Need you strong like an ox, because we're going to be making you pull everything. Contact paper is super fun to play around with. I recommend anybody, if they ever get a chance, to do it. All right, let's take a look what we got here. Use masking tape. Oh, no, you bought an oval canvas. That's what I was going to say. It looks like an oval canvas, but with something like around it. Alrighty. So we got a beautiful little, I guess I'd call this like babbling river bank, I would go with. We got beautiful enclosure of trees, sky, rocks, and water that's just playing around there. And it looks awesome, dude. This looks super fun. This looks like a super fun painting. So let's take a look here. So first of all, sky color, beautiful. You even have a little bit of play because like we were talking about before, see how you have different, you got dark blues, light, more medium. It adds depth naturally to your sky. So I think it paid it off really strong for you here, Jin, and it looks fantastic. Your clouds, small and sparse, I think add to the wealth of the painting because everything else is so big and engulfing that having smaller clouds actually pays off because it pushes everything back. So I think you made a good decision. I love the play and the clouds that you have there. I probably wouldn't add this one because it distracts a little bit from the waterfall that we have here. Oops. And as you would get further down, I'd probably make things more wispy and less defined. So that way your eye doesn't concentrate so much to the cloud as it does for these elements in the foreground. Okay. The only weird placement that I have for your land is this little shelf of land looks super unnatural. And it's because it pops up out of nothing. And it doesn't continue off to the side. Like, it's like it drops, which is weird. And I guess technically that could happen in some parts of nature. But what you have over here, you more or less continued off to the canvas, creating a strong foundation that your land is sitting on. Yeah, it looks like it's just floating. So what we need to do to correct that is take this landmass and pull it all the way over here. Now you can do very light paint since you know you're gonna have other elements go in front of it that you want to stick, but you need to pull it all the way over because right now it looks like it's just floating, which looks very unnatural, okay? So you're aware of it, so just for the next time you do it, be aware so you don't make the same mistake. And what I would probably recommend is work in each plane at a time. What may have happened is you probably dropped this in and then painted this at the same time and then maybe added that. And then you know, painted the rest and then worked in another cluster here and then another cluster here. What I'd recommend is just work at one at a time. You go, okay, one here, finish it, then okay, one here. Now I've created the valley and funnel for my waterfall. Now let's do one here, then one here, then one here, then one here, then one here, one here, and work in that fashion. Don't try to do too many at a time because you'll forget about certain steps. The depth in this is great. I love, yeah, the channel that is created right here looks beautiful, Zach. Looks beautiful. Haven't I ever heard of popcorn tectonics? Yeah, sure. Sure. I mean, who hasn't? I mean, come on, bro. Alrighty. So we got that all settled in there. But other than that, dude, the laying of the land looks great. The other problem you have, and it's kind of hard for you guys to see here, is your water. I don't know how to illustrate this. Goes up and then down. Okay? There's no such thing as popcorn waterfall displacement association. That's right. Went deep. Water is always level until it drops off. Okay? So when you bring in this waterfall here, you want to make sure you bring your landmass over. Okay? So that way it doesn't dip down like it does. Bring your landmass over and then take your water, which I'm going to switch to red here. Bring that and then pull it down and across. But you got to leave it level. Water is always going to stay level. Then when you take your next piece of landmass here, I should have continued my red all the way over. Let's just say you swooped all the way from here. Then when you take your second landmass, which is right here, you want to make sure you take it above your water line so that way everything looks natural, okay? And that's going to be real easy for you. NVIDIA water, hell yeah. Look at the dynamics in the water. It looks sweet. So you just need to make sure that your landmass is holding your water, okay? Because if your water is above your landmass, it would be leaking out and going everywhere else, which is what you have at the moment on this left-hand side. Your water is going up and over. So it's technically above this water or landmass here. But you know what? Legitimately, talking about just the land you have here is beautiful. I love the laying of the land of what you have. I love how you didn't get carried away with doing everything grass. I love how you have rock formations that are different colors, contrasts, and even splashes with water lines in them. I think you did a fan-fucking-tastic job on that. The only thing I would say is when you have the water cascading across your rocks, again, water will always be level. Be like Bruce Lee, be like water. It'll always be level. So you got to make sure your water is always straight underneath. If it's ever at an angle, that means it's rushing and you have to add bubbles, waters, rapids to it, which you kind of do. But in certain spots here, it's always has to be level. So remember that, okay? And then your trees look pretty good too. Looks like you got heavy-handed on the I was gonna say water mix, but oil application here, Jen. So just remember, don't always kill all your darks. What I would say is, since you've established your light source here, let's use red. Since you've established your light source here, light is cascading and leaking through as it's coming down in this general direction, which means the intensity of light is going to fall off, which you actually did extremely well on this left-hand side. Look, you got your highlight. You should have more distinguishable highlights back here, and then they should get duller as they get here, and then very dull as they get here, which you did a pretty good job of, okay? But you want to make sure that you continue that on the right side. But all in all, you did a good job for what you have. And with the sun source here, remember your highlights are going to be on the right side for your left side of your canvas, and then they're going to be on the left side for the right side of your canvas because the light is leaking down in this general direction. But all in all, I think you did a great and fantastic job. This is a beautiful painting. Just like Zach was saying, it's hard to build distance and depth in a painting. I get that within this painting. I feel like there's a long elongation of a riverbank that's flowing towards us that I can walk a distance to, and I think it looks dope. You just made some simple land formation mistakes, and no joke, it's easy to see that you made them at the beginning because you can tell you corrected it once you moved on, and it's all about having that foresight of land. When you have to drop in your first piece of land, it's hard because you can't visually see everything else. But when you get to like here and you get to here, you're like, oh, I see it now because I already dropped in this piece of land and I already dropped in this piece of land. And that's the hard thing, is having that creative eye to have that visual foresight is difficult. But this is beautiful, dude. Very beautiful. I love what you got here. I would love to see this not on an oval canvas. I would like to see this on a regular rectangular, like 16 by 20 canvas to see how you would fill out the rest of it. So maybe that's a piece of advice to give and try. Yeah, it's got a lot of oil element characteristics to it that we get, but it looks great for acrylic. I love acrylic. I love all mediums. I think all mediums have their beautifulness to them, you know? Alrighty, let's see what we got here. So, Jin, thank you for allowing us to take a look at it, dude. Very, 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 very pretty. Alrighty. I think I might only have time for one more. One more. And it might not... I've only tried gouache once, and I didn't have anybody really teaching me, so I didn't know what I was doing, and I failed miserably at it. I need somebody to teach me how to use gouache. I have a few friends that use it and love it. And I used to get really confused when people would type out the word gouache, and I was like, what is gouache? Gouache. You got to gouge? And then somebody's like, nope, dude, it's gouache. And I was like, oh, okay. I think it's French or something. Funky monkey. Ryan Owens, did I grab yours? I think I might have to do Zach's, but we'll see. I could probably maybe do 2 quickies. I just got to get food. I'm hungry. Oh, you know what? I have to do... Deji's been here. Actually, you know what? I got to do Deji. Let's see if we can try to do Deji's first. Because Deji's actually got some beautiful stuff. I think Deji gave me free range to pick whichever one he wanted. So, I think 2 are the same. So I'm going to pick the mountain one. So let me do Deji real quick. It's hard to get feedback in Korea. I will always be here for my Korean brethren. Deji. Come on, Han. There we go. I just misspelled. All right, so Deji, are you still here, dude? Let me do yours, and then Ryan, let me grab yours as well, just so I have it on the holster ready to go. I think you said you did yours from first to last, or like latest. Let's take the beach sunset one, because that one's beautiful, dude. Deji, let's do yours, because I know you've been here pretty much since the beginning. I like to give credit where credit's due. And then, Ryan, if you want to chill for a moment, dude, we'll get to yours. I'll do quick ones. So, forgiveness. If you want more of an in-depth one, I'll be more than happy to do it for any YouTube channel member, because that's the perk I like to give. But I'll give you a little bit of advice here, and love to show off your stuff. But Ryan's got to eat. I'm a little hungry. Let me write Ryan on yours, so that way we got yours, buddy. All right. Where'd we go with Deji? There we go. Pull up my Photoshop again. Jackie, oh no, I picked up black gesso instead of magic black. How do I fix that as an oil painter? I just cleaned my soap to clean my oil brush. Are you saying just like, not really sure how to answer your question, like how to clean off your brush since you got black gesso? It's acrylic based or water based, which is basically acrylic. So just put it in soap and water, and then make sure to condition it when you're done. It'll be fine. If you're asking, how can I proceed forward using black gesso without magic black, just take a little bit of liquid medium and add it to black paint, and you basically have liquid black. You probably won't need to use liquid black that often. What I recommend is, since you got yourself some black gesso, do a black canvas. Paint an entire canvas black, let it dry for about 15 to 25 minutes in the sun, and then apply liquid clear to it. Then put semi-transparent paint down on top of that, and then paint on top of that paint, and you'll get some awesome, beautiful effects. No, you didn't ruin your brush. It's fine. It's fine. Just make sure you clean it once you're done, as in done using the gesso, because that will dry real quickly. If you feel like you ruined your paint brush, you didn't. I have a beautiful video on how to restore any paintbrush using Murphy's oil soap. It'll take acrylic paint off like it's nothing. Just make sure you condition the brush after you're done, because it will strip a little bit of the nourishment out of the hairs, and you'll be completely fine. Alrighty. Last twos. Let's go strong. So with gesso over the oil painting, will it dry? Yes, but it will flake off. Acrylic paint cannot dry on top of oil paint. There's not a strong adhesion to it. It'll dry, but it'll flake off in probably a couple weeks to a month. And that's just what will happen, or even a year. Depends on the application, but sadly, it will not dry correctly. So if it's something small, Jackie, what I would recommend is just take your palette knife, or if you got a silicone spatula they don't use for cooking, scrape that section off right now, and then reblend everything, and then that'll most likely save it from being destroyed. Or if a practice piece, then who cares? You know, you're just using it to learn skills. Deji should be completely fine. The worst case scenario is that you can probably ruin the painting after years of drying. Yeah. Deji, if you don't mind letting us know what medium you worked in, how long you worked on this painting, how long you've been painting, and what did you struggle most with? And then Jackie, you're welcome. We're here to help. Glad we can calm you down, talk you down a little bit. The crisis line is here. All right, let's get a little bit of water in me. This is a very beautiful painting that we got here going on. So let's move this out of the way. So we got a beautiful, nice little landscape of a soft sky with some vertical growing clouds. Nice mountain, beautiful tree line with bush line on underneath. Beautiful, beautiful path. I love this path that you got here. Nice little playful grass field that I just want to run naked through, and I would look great doing it. Surrounded by beautiful whiffs of reeds and plants and foliage and fauna and all that fun stuff and trees and everything here. This was a black canvas done with Winsor Newton oil, and I struggle with highlights on the pine tree. I don't think you did too bad on the highlights there. I think you did a good job. Let's do a quick little run through of what we got going on here and what I can help correct with. Excuse me, because the hunger is settling in strong, my friends. So first of all, artistic choice, Deji, is, I think, let me think. You've already created a vignette focal point. If I remove my face, you created a reverse one on the bottom here. See how everything's dark and saturated on the bottom that you got here? It pulls the eye up into this general direction into the brighter spots. Now, I think if you wanted to accentuate your focal point in this general area, you could do the same thing in these corners, okay? Now, you won't see much on the right because the trees are blocking it with the highlights that you got on there, but you'd see it eventually play through. Is you should add a little more color up in here and then pull that color down in this way to accentuate your focal point. However, it's an artistic choice. If you don't want to make it, you don't have to. Just tossing it out there. I think it would help, but you don't have to. Your clouds, I love them. I think they look great. I love the bold density change that you have going in through the light and dark, stormy cloud to density of that, going up and around. We know that our light source is over here on the left, okay? And it's going this way. How can we tell? Well, we can tell by the mountain. I would say you would probably need a little more highlight dancing off some of these clouds here to establish that the light source is flowing this way. You did a great job of doing it on this cloud, but that's about the only one. You tried here, but you could add more wrap around in these clouds here to build more shape and character in it. Hey, Lorraine, how you doing there? How's it going on with you? Simple little change. Just go back and add a little white onto it and blend it in, and boom. I think it would look fantastic. Whoops. Let me duplicate that layer. Now let's come to the mountains. Mountain looks good. In fact, I think it looks great. Even though there's some triangling going on, you kind of break it up because you have... Oh, wow, that was a horrible line I just drew. You kind of break it up because you go up, down, up, and then you carve, and then you have another one that comes down and carve. So you got like a little bit of a tiger claw going on, but since you only kept it to 2, it's not really noticeable. If you would have done one more tiger claw like that, you'd have these 3 lines that would be very distinguishable. And I call it tiger claw because it looks like you took your claw and just carved down. But since you kept it to 2, it's not as noticeable. But I'm still going to pick on you a little bit for having triangles because you go up, down, okay? Don't be afraid to go up with some bumps, then down, over, and then like down kind of thing. Add a little wiggle, jiggle, biggle, diggle, wiggle, wiggle, wiggle in there. And it's going to add more crevasses, more crevices, more characters, more erosion into your mountain that looks like more natural. And I think that will accentuate because you have what appears to be a more heavy hand for highlight and shadow, which I love. I love texture, artistic choice. And if you add more of those bumps, you're giving more playground room for you to accentuate that with your knife. And it's going to stand out even more. You did a good job of the highlight and shadow. I would say, even though you love to be heavy-handed, hey, what's up, Return to Earth? I would say make sure to leave some spots that you don't paint. Yeah, I would say you could probably benefit from using a darker grounding color for your mountains and leaving some gaps, because what that's going to do is it's going to show some really strong spots of where there's a contrast between the shadow and highlight that's going to play off even more. Hey, what's up, Lawson? How's everything going on with you? I'm doing well. I'm having a good weekend. I'm going to go get like a late lunch here. Or sorry, late lunch. I'm going to go get an late breakfast and then I don't know, a little bit of a brunch and chill, relax, do some art. What about you, Return to Earth? Doing anything cool? All right, let's get this out of the way. Your tree line is good. The only thing that's a little unique is it goes down and then up, which is a little weird. I feel like you probably could have done 2 planes. Now, if you wanted to go down and up, that's fine. It's your land. However, I probably would have done 1 layer of trees this way and then another layer of trees going in front of it this way. And that would build a bigger plane of depth, okay? Which would actually make more sense since you have this path. This tree path would intersect with this path, which then looks like it's going into this further background. And that's the only thing. I love how you did not eliminate all the contrast. You got darks and lights, so good job. You did a great job building darks and lights on your grassy field here, Deji. Okay. The only thing I would probably recommend, you probably didn't notice, but I'm going to make you notice it now. We've already established, I'm going to switch thread here. Your light source is somewhere over here, and it's going this general direction, okay? We can agree to that. We can agree to that. So your light highlights have to fade from intensity to less intense going that general direction, okay? Now, if you want to keep it saturated, which is fine, because I think your painting is very saturated and bold and vivid. So here's what we do to correct it. Take your more saturated highlights, put them over here. Then tap into a little bit of like red or ochre or Van Dyke brown and put more saturated but more muted on the value over here. So that way there's a transition of color, okay? And what that's going to give the feel is like these are growing slightly better than these over here because these get a little more sunlight than these ones over here. And it's going to add just a natural flair of that changing of seasons, if you will. And it's an easy thing. Just add a little bit of color to your highlight. A little bit of red, a little bit of green, a little bit of brown, whatever you want to add. You know, it's up to you. And it's something simple. You have the same highlight color going all the way through. I already corrected this. First of all, your path is fucking fantastic. This is beautiful. You did a great job of adding highlight color appropriately where the sunlight stopped, and then you added appropriate shadow color where it is. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Your reeds, your flowers look good. I would say if you're going to paint anything like this, this is tough. If this is wet on wet, you know what honest information I would probably give is when you're done painting this, I would go back and I would add more highlight, more color, more texture on this front layer here because this is so close to us. It has to be more distinguishable than what is on your mountain here. Your mountain has a lot of texture and it's beautiful, but you got to remember that's way, way, way back there. And this is only 12 feet from me. So this needs to have a little more texture to it to stand out. Okay. And then I think you said you did bad. The only tree that looks like shit is that one, to be honest. These, I think, actually look really, really, really good. This one, I just wish wasn't there. It looks like the bastard child of the trees. It's like you did such a good job on the left and the right one, and this one was like, fuck your painting, I'm going to mess it up. And it's weird, too, because it's like, it should be, you have roots. You got aerial roots sticking out. There should actually be bushes covering that so it looks like it's sticking out from that, okay? That's the only thing I hate is that one little tree trunk. But I think you did very good. Everything else with your highlights. You did a beautiful job of putting highlights and shadows on this trunk, defining it well. The only thing that kind of sucks is the same thing as everybody else, is your leaves are a little lackluster, a little weak, but that's because it's hard. Now, you've got so much paint, so many layers. I would recommend, dude, just like I said, you should go back and add this. Go back and add just a little bit more highlight on this when it's had a chance to tacky up for 24 to 72 hours, and you're gonna have beautiful highlight stick on there. It's gonna make it look So fucking awesome. This is a beautiful painting, dude. Bro, that tree is the reason why GPU prices aren't going down. Not true. They're starting to go down a little bit now. Starting to go down a little bit now. Nobody wants the new 40 series, but those 30 series are starting to come on sale, dude. Although some of them are been put through the grinder. I wouldn't mind getting a new GPU. I'm taking donations. Alrighty. This is beautiful, dude. I am very impressed. I love this. I think you made some simple mistakes. Now that we look at it, you go, shit, dude, that would accentuate my painting. But I don't know what number painting this is for you, Deji. I think you forgot to let us know that. But whatever it is, it's fantastic. You should be super proud. Super proud. The other thing, too, since we mentioned the highlights from on the bushes, is don't forget that your highlights on the trees as it fades away over this side would get darker, too. So, like, these trees wouldn't have as much highlight. There should be more contrast, like dark on the side, and then, it would fade off into this direction. That's it. I really want to be able to do it like Kevin Hill by using a round brush to make literally leaf textures and techniques. Pretty hard to get the hang of. No shit. And Kevin Hill's been painting many years. You and I have just been painting a few. So we'll get there. We'll get there. The good thing is I think you show extreme promise. Extreme promise. Beautiful painting. Deji, thank you for sharing, dude. Kevin Hill would be proud of the painting that you did, dude. So super stoked. Super stoked. All right, who's our last one? We got Ryan. Oh, goddamn. Tired, hungry. Oh, need a mimosa. Need a strong mimosa. It was very beautiful, dude. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing. All right. Last one we got here is Ryan. Now, Ryan's Instagram post only came through with a little bit of a lower res, but it'll still work. It'll still work. What time is it in my country? In the United States here in California, it just passed 11 a.m. So it's good prime time to go get a late brunch. I can't wait to see what you paint next, Deji. Feel free. You guys are always welcome to send me what you paint. I look at them. I don't always get a chance to reply because like I'm working and I'll be like, oh, god damn, that's beautiful. I'll get back to that later and then I always forget. But feel free to follow me on Twitter. Excuse me. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram because I love growing my stuff and I love seeing what you guys paint. You're always allowed to send me what you paint. I love looking at it. 7 p.m. in the UK. Oh, I'm glad I could take you to bed. Hopefully you had a fun Saturday. Kitty Smith, hopefully me finishing off your night is a good way to do it. All right, let's take a look at what we got here now. So we got a beautiful sunset painting. I love these colors. I love the bright starburst colors we got going on with our honey yellows to our starburst pinks to our cotton candy blue, if you will. And then that fades in down into our beach scene here. So this is beautiful. This is very beautiful. The first, Ryan, if you're still here, dude, if you could let us know how long you were working on this, how long you've been painting, what mediums you were using, and what you're struggling with. That'll help everybody out in the chat, plus myself if you're still here. But let's roll through this. The very first thing I noticed that I think is an issue is the intensity of colors is inconsistent. I feel like I can see through to bare canvas. Oops, I gotta switch over my brush here. That's not what I wanted either. That's a little too small for you guys. There we go. I feel like I can see through to bare canvas, like up in these edges here. And that shouldn't be the case. So even in the blue and in the pink, I can see through to bare canvas like it wasn't a correct application in certain spots. Remember, when you're grounding for your sky, you want to work it in all the way through. This kind of shows to me that you probably had sparse patches of application of gesso and or magic or liquid white or whatever medium you were using. So make sure for a cheat, don't be afraid to use like something like gray gesso so you can see where you missed so you can put in the proper applications, okay? From there, I think you did a good job of color choice. I love the colors that you have. However, I think your cloud choice is a little inconsistent. Now, this reminds me of the strong Florida sunsets that I used to go see with my grandma. But if you're going to have half wisps, half chunk and sparse, than half wisps. You got to keep them collected in certain areas because that's kind of how air pressure would work. So if you're going to do wispy clouds, keep your wispy clouds generally in one area and your sparse clouds generally in one area. You can't put these back up here because that generally wouldn't happen too often. And that's just kind of like how air pressure works a little bit. Oil on canvas, probably around painting 25. First seascape, I think it's a great seascape. Painted over 2 days, struggled with the wet sand. Pretty happy with the blue reflection and light trees. Okay, cool. Yeah. I'm liking it all. What I would probably do down here at the bottom is, since the sun is so intense, I would probably fade out more of these clouds here. So that way it looks like the sun is scattering through them and then getting caught underneath on the bottom side here, making these clouds stand up as they go away. Now you got to remember your light source is at the bottom here, so you would have to put a little bit of highlight cascading underneath these clouds here because that's what would happen in nature. Your horizon line is pretty solid, however, it dips a little bit here towards the ocean, so nothing wrong with using a straight edge or a piece of tape to keep it consistent. It looks like you put in godlight rays, which is dope. But if you're going to put in godlight rays, you want to make sure that they start thin and cascade out and blend them out into nothing. So I would probably make these a little bit thicker, or sorry, a little bit wider, and then spread out like in that general direction and blend them out so it's just a little bit noticeable to the eye as you're looking at it. Hey, what's up, Steve Stanley? How's everything going on with you? I love the intensity of the white here, which is what would happen in nature. I think what you need to do is you need to take that intensity of white and keep it here and blend it into the wet sand. For some reason, your intensity of white is one strong line, and that wouldn't happen, especially if this is wet sand. It would be pretty wide. It'd be as wide as your source is here, obviously. So if your sun was this big, the intensity of the reflection on the wet sand would be that big, and then it would fade down in a way because the intensity would get less and less and less and less as it got away from there. Yours is just one line, so we would want to fix that. But I love the color play that you have in the sand. What I would recommend is this looks more traditional on the wet sand than it does wet on wet. So what I would do is I'd add a little bit of liquid medium, something like with liquid clear. And what that's going to do for you, Ryan, is it's going to take any of your opaque paints and make them semi-transparent. It's going to take any of your semi-transparent paints and make them more semi-transparent, which means you get to play with colors on top of colors, making them look wet as you blend. So what you can do is take your yellows and your reds and your oranges and then your Van Dyke browns and blend them on top of each other, creating beautiful transitions of colors as it works away from this light source here. And I think that would help you out a lot. So using something like a liquid clear, a linseed oil, anything that's going to make your paint a little more semi-transparent, is going to help you achieve that wet sand look, but also allow you to play with those beautiful Florida colors that are transitioning in the sand. Okay? Your trees, fucking beautiful. I love, first of all, great job as an artist blowing out your highlights of your trees here, because that would happen because the light source is super clear. And then beautiful job making them darker as you get further away. Beautiful job. Your palm trees look great. I love the colors on them. You got to remember at the base of a palm tree, though, they do fan out really strong. Oh, I'm sorry. You can't even see my face there. They fan out more like that. Oh, brought my face back. Forgot to click on here. So you want to make these just a little bit fatter down on the bottom, because that's what a palm tree would have. And I think I can't even give you a critique, dude. I love the branch, the palm frond detail that you had in there. I think you did a fantastic job. You probably could have come over with a bigger plane through the sand down in here just to add a little bit of bump and texture to break it up. But artistic choice, it's up to you. Yeah, oh yeah, if you're excuse me, if you're in the UK, yeah, you probably don't even get to see what a palm tree is. I'm just letting you know. I have them here in California, and I've been to Florida many a time. But it's beautiful. On the base of a palm tree, they're generally fatter because that's where all the roots are holding it down and in to be strong. So it's not much a lot of times, depending on which palm tree genre specimen you're talking about. They just come and be a little bit fatter, like most trees where the roots are, you know? But the one thing I think it would help with that is if you took the plane of sand and just brought it down and across, just like what we have here, fading in. And keep that illusion going that you have all these different sandbanks. And you got to, oops, God, I keep clicking on the wrong thing. You got to remember, or you don't know, maybe depending on where you live in the UK, you probably have sand and wind. You have onshore winds blowing sand this way. So you actually have many different like ravines and dunes. So don't be afraid to accentuate that by adding in different colors and highlights on your sand, which makes it look like there's a little bit of rolls in the sand because wind is pushing and creating those dunes. Then I think you could have a smoother, whoops, you could have a smoother transition of shadow here. You just need to learn, whoops, can't find my Z button. You just need to learn to fade the sunlight off more naturally is all. It just comes to a stark transition, which wouldn't happen. It would naturally fade through the naked eye of the observer. And then your water, I'm going to have to say, is your weakest part. Very, very tough to discern what this is. I can tell you're working on waves, and I'm sorry to say it, the perspective that you picked is the hardest way to start painting water waves. If this is your first seascape, you picked the hardest because you don't realize that waves are coming from this angle and they're getting like fatter towards the eye. And this is hard because they're also curling and crashing onto the shore. This is hard. What I'd recommend is take this entire painting and turn it 90 degrees, okay? So that way you would have, this is going to be hard to visualize, but you'd have a line here and you'd have the same exact sky, okay? Then you could put some sand dune here, some sand dune here. That could connect if you want. And then you can have your ocean here. And you could have waves crashing towards us. And then you could throw your palm trees up in this general direction. Your palm trees up in this general direction. But working the water towards the observer's eye is a lot easier if you're starting out, because you can actually make curls and crashes a lot easier. The perspective you chose is difficult for a brand new painter. I would struggle with this because it's all about perspective. And perspective is hard with water because water's moving, which means it has motions and it has variables in it that are very hard to capture. So if you're going to paint something like this, Ryan, or if you plan on painting again, reference photos. Reference photos from, whoops, I just hit my beautiful microphone. I'm sorry, baby. Reference photos from this perspective will be your hero, okay? And it's going to help you out a ton. So that's what I would recommend. All in all, dude, I love it. I think from my artistic eye, I would like to see a lot more smoother transitions. It looks like the canvas was dry and toothy at times. I think if you applied the correct amount of gesso and liquid base medium, whatever you like to use, I think the smooth transition would help with the California sky or Florida sky that you're going with, because that's generally how they are. They're smooth gradient transitions in the sky, ocean, and wet sand. And don't be afraid to look at some reference photos. They would help you out a ton. Great job for painting something out of your element. It was probably really, really, really fun to paint because you don't have probably something like this where you live, or maybe you've never even visited something like this, which is why I like to paint mountains. My parents grew up in the snow, and they said after 35 years of shoveling snow, you're fucking over snow. So whenever I see snow, it's a treat to me. You know, I only get to see it like once or twice a year now that I'm an adult because I get to do what I want. But when I was a kid, I didn't even see snow. Or when I was a kid, I probably saw snow 3 times in my lifetime until I was like 24. So it's, you know, super fun for me to see. Which is why it's super fun for me to paint. You might see those palm trees in Jeju Island. Is that more of a tropical spot? Oh my lordy lordy. First of all, Ryan, thank you for letting us take a look at your art, my friends. This was fun. I love talking to you guys, and I love all of you sticking in here and having fun with me. And thank you for tuning in and having fun. It's a good exercise for us all to see where you're at. Thank you for having fun and chatting. It makes it fun for me. I'm going to try to do one more review, maybe even 2 before I go. I'm thinking Monday in the morning, and then maybe one on like Wednesday afternoonish, which would be different time zones for all you out there. If you want to keep up with that, obviously follow me on YouTube because I post in the community chat forums there in the community thread. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram. It's another great way to keep up with me. If you ever feel like supporting me, super chat, super thanks. Becoming a YouTube channel member helps with me. I will keep everybody up to par on what's going on with the art show because I think people have fun with that. And I'll be stoked to see you all. And I'll be posting things on Twitter and Instagram constantly. I love having you guys stop in here. Thank you, Carrie. I appreciate the compliment. You guys are all great. You guys are the reason that the community stays strong and keeps going. And I always enjoy what you guys are doing. And I think probably on the last stream I'll do here until the art show, I'll show you some of the art that Tally and I have been working on. So that'll be fun. Maybe I'll make a video. That'll be kind of easy. I don't know if you guys appreciate it or if anybody would watch it, but maybe that'll just make a small little one. But I have to go eat. I'm starving. I miss you guys already. Take care. Have a good weekend. Be safe. Have fun. Have a drink for me. And as always, peace. Take care.